Have you ever wondered why a single language can connect a billionaire in New York, a gamer in India, a scientist in Japan, a singer in Nigeria, and a student sitting alone in a small village with nothing but a phone and a dream? Imagine a world where every country speaks a different language and nobody understands each other. No global movies, no international business, no internet culture as we know it, no worldwide music hits, no viral trends crossing borders. But somehow one language slowly rose above thousands of others and became the voice of the modern world. That language is English, and this is the unbelievable story of how it conquered the planet. Long before skyscrapers, smartphones, airplanes, and the internet existed, the English language was nothing special. It was not powerful, respected, or global. In fact, most of the world had never even heard of it. Around 1500 years ago, on a cold island known today as England, different tribes called the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes arrived from northern Europe. They were warriors, farmers, and survivors. They brought with them rough Germanic dialects. Those dialects slowly mixed together and formed what we now call Old English. But if you heard Old English today, you would probably think it was a completely different language. Words sounded strange. Sentences felt impossible to understand. Even native English speakers today cannot easily read it. One famous example comes from an old epic story called Beowulf. The language looked dark, ancient, and almost magical. At that time, Latin was considered the language of intelligence and education. French was the language of royalty and power. English was treated like the language of ordinary villagers, poor workers, and common people. Nobody could have imagined that one day this same language would dominate movies, science, business, technology, and even social media. Then came one of the biggest turning points in history. In the year 1066, the Norman invasion changed England forever. A ruler named William the Conqueror invaded England from Normandy, which is now part of France. After winning the battle, he became king. Suddenly, French became the language of the royal court, law, government, and the rich elite. Meanwhile, common people still spoke English. For centuries, England had two worlds living side by side, the powerful speaking French and the ordinary people speaking English. But over time, these languages mixed together. English absorbed thousands of French words. This is why modern English has words from many origins. Simple words like house and bread came from Germanic roots, while words like government, justice, beauty, and power came from French. This mixture made English flexible, rich, and unique. It became a language capable of sounding both simple and sophisticated at the same time, and slowly English began rising again. Then another revolution arrived, the printing press. In the 1400s, books started becoming cheaper and easier to produce. Before this, only wealthy people and religious institutions had access to books. But printing changed everything. Now stories, ideas, and knowledge could spread faster than ever. One man played a massive role during this period, William Shakespeare. Shakespeare did not just write plays, he transformed the English language itself. Many common phrases and words used today either came from him or became popular because of him. Expressions like break the ice, wild goose chase, heart of gold, and many others survived for hundreds of years. Through literature, English became more standardized, more expressive, and more influential. But even then, it still was not the language of the world. The real explosion happened because of something far more powerful than books. Empire England began building one of the largest empires in human history. British ships traveled across oceans reaching Asia, Africa, America, and many other regions, wherever the British Empire went. English followed, schools taught it, governments used it, trade depended on it. At its peak, the British Empire controlled nearly 1/4 of the planet. People started saying the sun never sets on the British Empire, because somewhere in the world, British territories were always under sunlight. India became one of the most important parts of this empire. And this is where the story becomes deeply important for millions today. When the British arrived in India, they saw a land filled with incredible diversity. Hundreds of languages, cultures, kingdoms, and traditions existed together. From Hindi to Bengali, Tamil to Marathi, Punjabi to Gujarati, every region had its own identity. But for administration, business, and control, the British needed one common language. They pushed English into education, government offices, law, and higher society. A man named Thomas Macaulay played a huge role in this. He believed English education would create a class of Indians who could help the British rule the country. Schools and colleges began teaching English more aggressively. At first, only elite groups had access to it. but eventually it spread wider. Ironically, the same language introduced for colonial control later became one of the strongest tools for Indian success. After independence, India kept English as an important link language because the country had so many different regional languages. English helped people from different states communicate with each other. Today, India is one of the largest English-speaking populations on Earth. Millions study it because they see it as a bridge toward jobs, global opportunities, technology, and international communication. And then came the moment that changed everything forever: the rise of America. This is the part most people underestimate, because while the British Empire spread English geographically, America transformed English into the language of modern global culture. When the United States became an economic and military superpower in the 20th century, the entire world started paying attention. After World War II, America emerged stronger than almost every major nation. Its economy exploded, its companies expanded everywhere, and its influence entered homes through television, movies, music, technology, and eventually the internet. Hollywood became one of the greatest cultural machines ever created. Movies from America reached every continent. People who never visited America still knew American actors, slang, accents, and lifestyle. Children in distant countries started learning English simply because they loved movies and songs. Then came American music, from jazz to rock, hip-hop to pop. Global audiences memorized English lyrics even when they did not fully understand them. Singers like Michael Jackson, Madonna, Eminem, and many others became worldwide icons. English was no longer just a language, it became entertainment itself. But America's biggest weapon was technology. Most of the internet was built using English. Many of the world's largest tech companies came from America. Companies like Microsoft, Apple, Google, Meta, Amazon, and many others shaped the digital age. Programming languages used English keywords, software interfaces used English, online tutorials used English. Global communication platforms operated mainly in English. Imagine a teenager in Brazil wanting to learn coding, a gamer in India watching YouTube tutorials, a businessman in Germany attending international meetings, or a scientist in South Korea publishing research. Again and again, English appeared everywhere. This is why America became the engine that turned English into the language of ambition, success, and globalization. And here is something fascinating. English became powerful. Not because it was the easiest language, because honestly, English can be confusing. Spelling rules often make no sense. Silent letters exist everywhere. One word can have multiple meanings. Pronunciation changes constantly. Even native speakers make mistakes all the time. Yet despite all this, people kept learning it. Why? Because language is not only about grammar, language is about opportunity. When people saw that English opened doors to better jobs, international travel, higher education, movies, music, business, and technology, they started learning it regardless of difficulty. This created a chain reaction. The more people learned English, the more valuable it became. And the more valuable it became, the more people wanted to learn it. Today, pilots use English during international flights. Scientists publish research papers in English. Multinational companies conduct meetings in English. Global tourism depends heavily on English. Even many countries where English is not the native language still use it for business and education. But there is another side to this story, a more emotional side. Every country has its own language, because language is deeply connected to identity, history, emotions, and culture. When someone speaks their mother tongue, they are not just speaking words. They are expressing generations of memory. A person speaking Japanese carries centuries of tradition. A person speaking Arabic carries ancient poetic history. A person speaking Hindi carries countless cultural stories. Every language contains a unique way of seeing the world. Some languages have words that cannot even be translated perfectly into English because emotions and ideas differ between cultures. This is why language diversity is beautiful. France protects French fiercely because they fear losing cultural identity. Japan proudly preserves Japanese traditions. China strongly promotes Mandarin. And many smaller communities fight to save endangered languages from disappearing forever. Because when a language dies, an entire worldview disappears with it. Yet English continues growing because it acts like a global bridge. Think about international sports events, world summits, scientific conferences, gaming communities, or social media trends. People from different backgrounds need one shared language to communicate quickly. and English became that bridge. But something interesting is happening now. English itself is changing because of globalization. American English sounds different from British English. Indian English has its own flavor. Australian English uses unique slang. African countries have mixed local styles with English. Even internet culture creates new English words every year. In a strange way, English no longer belongs to just England or America, it belongs to the world. A teenager in Mumbai, a creator in Nigeria, and a student in the Philippines are all shaping the future of English together. This is why modern English feels alive, constantly evolving, absorbing influences from everywhere. And then came social media, the final explosion. Platforms like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and streaming services pushed English even deeper into global culture. Creators who speak English can reach worldwide audiences faster. Memes spread internationally in hours. Trends jump across countries overnight. Many people today learn English not from school, but from gaming, movies, reels, music, and online creators. Sometimes a child learns more English from watching YouTube than from years inside a classroom. That shows how deeply media influences language. But let us ask the biggest question of all. Will English stay the world's dominant language forever? Nobody truly knows. History changes constantly. Once Latin dominated Europe, then French became the language of diplomacy. Now English rules globally. In the future, another language could rise with another superpower. Some people believe Mandarin Chinese may become more influential because of China's economic growth. Others think artificial intelligence translation tools may reduce the importance of learning any global language at all. Imagine future technology translating conversations instantly between every language. People might speak naturally in their own mother tongue, while machines handle communication perfectly. If that happens, the entire idea of one global language could change forever. But for now, English remains at the center of the modern world, and this creates both opportunity and pressure. In countries like India, millions of students feel that learning English is necessary for success. Parents sacrifice money for English medium schools. Young people spend years improving speaking skills. Job interviews often depend heavily on English communication. Sometimes this creates confidence, sometimes insecurity. Many intelligent people feel inferior simply because their English is weak, even though knowledge and intelligence are not defined by accent or grammar. That is one of the biggest psychological effects of English dominance. But here's the truth. Most people never realize. Language is a tool, not a measure of human worth. Someone speaking broken English can still be brilliant, creative, and capable, and someone speaking fluent English can still know very little. The real power comes from communication, confidence, and the ability to connect ideas. English became global because it connected people across borders, not because it made one culture superior to another. And maybe that is the most important lesson in this entire story. The rise of English was not caused by one single event. It was the result of invasions, empires, books, trade, colonization, technology, Hollywood, the internet, and especially America's massive influence on modern culture. From ancient tribal dialects on a cold island to the language of billion-dollar companies and global dreams, English traveled farther than anyone could have imagined. And today, somewhere right now, a child is opening YouTube to learn English. A programmer is writing code in English. A musician is singing in English. A scientist is publishing research in English. And millions of people who speak completely different native languages are still using English to understand each other. That is not just the story of a language. That is the story of how humanity connected itself across the planet. And maybe the strangest part of all is this. The language that once belonged to a few tribes on a tiny island now belongs to the entire world.